this episode, we are going to be taking a look at my entire childhood. We are going to be coming up through the years from being a little baby infant Jordan with lots of hair on my head and my head to being where I am at now, in the position that I am at. And I'm going to be telling you about every paranormal experience that I can remember along the way. So it's going to be a little bit of a long haul, this one. It's going to be very different to the stereotypical video that you'll see on the channel. I am going to be jumping around from scene to scene, most likely whatever memory pops into my little head that spirit shows, I'm going to start speaking about it. So you'll probably be like, I thought you said you were going from child to an adult, but when I speak about the paranormal, and especially my experiences, I get that excited. I've just got to just get it all out there. If you're new to the channel, my name is Psychic Medium Coleman, and I can prove with evidence of the afterlife. I've helped many of people on this earth plane to once again be able to contact their loved ones in spirit from the understandings and the teachings, and now it's your turn. Each and every one of you can become great mediums. In here at Help Heal Serve, we can give you the teachings that you so need and desire to help you along your divine spiritual path. Not to mention, we have the loving and supporting Help Heal Serve family. What I hope to achieve from this video is whilst it might not contain much educational value to you, the viewer, what I hope to achieve is by giving you an insight into the world of spirit, allowing you into my journey. So hopefully from that you can pick up on some of the things. You may see something that I've seen or experienced, and you might go, well, actually, do you know what it is? Jordan says we can all be mediums, and I've had that same, well, maybe it's not the same because you can't have my memories, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. You're going to have same sort of situations. You're going to have same sort of scenarios, and this video is just going to tick a lot of boxes for a lot of different people. Again, it's not going to be that educational. It's more of a little bit of sit back and a chill. You might have heard us laughing at the beginning of this video because me and Spirit have already, for the last 5 minutes before we even started this, we've been going to record it and messing up, and we've been having a little bit of a laugh and a giggle. So anyway, right. Let's go to the very, very, very beginning. So, the beginning of this story is going to take her to me being at the age of 6-year-old. 6-year-old Jordan. And I'll always remember it. I'm going to be dropping in this as well. At the time, I didn't know any of the Claire abilities. However, what I'm going to do is hopefully by me mentioning them in here, giving you a scenario, it's giving you kind of a way of you acknowledging, understanding, and be able to implant that into your mind. So if you ever have this, or you know somebody who's experienced this, you can say to them, I know what's happened for you. So when I was 6-year-old, it was the first time that I had used an ability called claircognizance. Also clairaudience. Two very different clair senses. However, I used them simultaneously one night at the age of 6-year-old. And I'll always remember it. As mad as it might seem, I mean, The Simpsons is still great to this day. But I was sitting watching TV in the sitting room, and I was watching The Simpsons. I don't know what episode it was, so somebody will probably ask the question. Don't ask us in the comments because I can't remember, and I don't care to remember. But I remember just looking up at the sky. And as I was looking up at the sky, there was a sort of feeling that washed over. It was like a sort of energy that kind of gives. The only way to describe it is if you think of when somebody gives you a cuddle in this life, and you feel the arms, the physicalities are wrapping around you, and kind of squeezing, all that sort of stuff. It was like that, but there was no one there, and it wasn't as strong as a cuddle. It wasn't like a grip. I was like, oh, I can't get away. It was just like a little sneaky cuddle. Sorry to interrupt this video, but we'd like to say a big massive thank you to each and every one of you from the bottom of our hearts. For everyone who drops the like button, who leaves comments of Help Heal Serve, we notice it. But that's not all. We now have memberships in place on this channel for those of you who want to financially support the message. It is not an obligation, so don't feel that you are being pressured into doing so. But if you do want to, you will find the memberships on the subscribe button. And if you haven't subscribed, you won't see it. Why the hell haven't you subscribed? Members will get the Help Heal Serve logo in all of the comments that you leave on the channel. Without further ado, let's get back into the video. And I always remember at that moment I heard, we're coming tonight. And I was like, what? Bearing in mind, right, the internet wasn't as big as what it is now. And a 6-year-old child, right? I didn't have anyone around me who had any understanding of this. Hence why I made the platform Help Heal Serve. Hence why the Spirit will give me the message. Hence why we do what we do on this platform. To anyone who falls into this path, this channel isn't marketed for children. However, there are going to be adults who have children who have sleep problems, or might be sleepwalking, or they might be talking to their friends, imaginary friends, and it might be freaking the living daylights out of you. You can come to this channel because the Spirit World will guide you, and I can give you to understand so you can help the child a lot more than what I got. Because the thing is, it's about time that people understood that you shouldn't be ashamed of the earthly abilities that you've been given. It's in our DNA. It's in our, in our entire being to be able to connect to the Spirit World. Yet mankind suppress it through not knowing what the hell it is. And then you've got entertainment that just blows it out of proportion. And then you've got a small minority of people who will give it a go, and they will. Then the rest are like, whoa, keep it away, keep it away, keep it away. So coming back to it, 6-year-old Jordan, I heard we're coming tonight. So as you can probably imagine, if you were sitting watching this video now, and you heard we're coming tonight, you would probably freak the hell out, wouldn't you? I was 6-year-old. Anyway, I then started watching The Simpsons again. And I had completely forgot about it. Whilst one thing that I'll say with the Spirit World is whilst you get shocks with the Spirit World, whilst you get temporary fear, especially when you don't understand what's happening, it doesn't stay with you. It's not like a fear that's always going to be. For example, if to put it in perspective, if I went in my car and I had like a near miss, or somebody jumped out in front of my car or something, and I had to put my brakes on and I had to stop that car as quick as I could, and instinctively, fight or flight took over. For days I'd probably need to recover. That's why you get people with PTSD, medical conditions. You get all of these because earthly things that happen within the materialistic plane, they mentally scar you. That being said, coming back to spirit, when something happens with spirit, in those moments, it terrifies the living daylights out of you when you don't have an understanding. When you do, it doesn't. But after the initial shock and the initial adrenaline rush and fight or flight, it's gone. You don't dwell on it. That's probably the spirit saying you don't dwell on it. It's not something that you're going to dwell on. So I went to bed, and I always remember it must have been about 2 o'clock in the morning. And when I was younger, I had this thing for sleeping in sleeping bags. It was one of those things. I think it was like kind of an adventure sort of sleeping bag. And it was like, oh yeah, I'm like in the army or something cool like that. Like we'll all imagine that we're going to grow up to be something cool. And then I always remember I turned over onto my side. And it's quite difficult. This part is I'm going to have to bear with us because I'm going to do my best to describe it to you, because a lot of you aren't going to know the layout of the location. So it's going to kind of take a little bit of away of the wow from this story. But the narrative is going to stay the same. So when I turned over, I could see a very, very faint light. Now, this light that I could see was in a location where there should have been no light. There was literally not a light in that location. And at the very top of the stairs, so basically, effectively, I was seeing light coming from the bottom of the stairs. So that's how bright it was. It was like, effectively, if somebody was stood at the bottom of the stairs shining a white light up, that's the sort of kind of, it's not like a prominent light where it's just the light source is there. A better way to describe it was the light source was at a distance, but yet it was shining. So I knew that there was no light there. I also knew that there was no possibility of anyone being awake, because you would hear noises, you would hear people being awake, wouldn't you? It's one of those things at that time of the morning, creeping around with a light, you would know something's up. And something just come over us. I remembered what had happened. I remembered we're coming tonight. So instinctively, the little fight or flight mechanism kicked in on me, and I literally thought, that's it, I'm going with aliens or something. Yeah, to be fair, probably was going with aliens. Who knows? I'm gonna keep the rest of it out. No, I'm not. So I closed my eyes, and I literally covered my head. And then the next minute, you know, it takes down like the veil in front of us. And this light is now magnified beyond any human comprehension. The purity within the white was non-earthly. I knew instantly then that there was something coming for me in those moments. Now, what that was, I couldn't have told you. I just literally thought that was the end. That was something was happening there. There was, however, while I say that, right, Spirit like, oh, stop being a drama queen. Yeah, well, it was for me. It was like, to me in those moments, it was quite scary. However, I was being a bit of a drama queen there. I didn't really think my life was going to end. There was kind of a subtle comfort knowing I had heard the voices earlier on. And whilst there was also a fear associated to that, I had kind of made it my own. I remembered that at that moment when I heard that, I felt safe. So there was something to it. I knew there was something happening that I didn't understand. And I also knew that it was probably best I closed my eyes and wished for it to go away. Because who wouldn't do that? It's going to work. Of course it's going to work, isn't it? Let's be honest. How many of you would do the same as me? I bet you would. That closes my eyes, covers them again, takes them back down. And lo and behold, before my very eyes were two full-body apparitions. For those of you who don't know, full-body apparition is spirit in their full form. They will, effectively, it's the best way to describe it, each and every one of you, is if you think of a human being, but take the human being away from them and just leave the outline. So I just seen the outline because my clairvoyance at that moment wasn't refined. Now when I see spirit, I see them as they look like me. Like literally, I've got loads of stories to tell you about that, so don't worry. We'll come to that later on in the video. But yeah, so I was just stopped, looked at them, and froze. Fight or flight had well and truly in those moments kicked in for me. And every time I see this, spirit shows me little face that shows what I looked like. And I looked terrified. You know, jaw dropped, you know, just one of them. But although in those moments my little heart was racing and the blood was coursing through my veins, I knew that I was safe. There was an unconditional love that come over, and you won't feel this on the materialistic plane. If you are somebody who actively works with spirit, then yes, you would have feel this. This is the oneness. This is where you are connected back to source. How, and not source you put on your chips either. Spirit always laugh when I say that. But yeah, I felt this unconditional love, and I knew in those moments it was as if there was a meaning to it. And at that time, I didn't know what that meaning was. I didn't care to know what that meaning was. It was a magical, surreal, and even to this day, it's probably one of my most prevalent and one of my most memorable moments, because I always remember watching as the spirits dissipated. And when I say it dissipated, what I mean is a lot of you will imagine a spirit just being there and then just slowly dissolving. This was weird. It was like, the only way to describe it is as if you've ever watched something like, say, Star Trek, or you've watched something that got any sort of sci-fi to it, and you see things dissolving from the ground up, not the way you would imagine it, where they just disappear. Just literally, it was just as if they were just fading away from the bottom until they got to the top and they were gone. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've seen a manifestation like that for the rest of my life. I've seen many manifestations. Like I say, I don't know. No, the telling is it's because that was at the beginning of my development. That was at the beginning of my clairvoyance. So that is why, you know, they would have dissipated like that. Now, I don't know when I'm speaking to spirits. Like literally, again, we're going to come back to these stories anyway, because I don't want to spoil it. So in those moments, was I scared? Yes. I seen the two full body apparitions disappear. I then put the light on and screamed my little eyes out. Not because I was scared, it was more the adrenaline had took over by that point. You've got to remember, you are seeing something in you've been conditioned, even by that young age of 6-year-old, I had been conditioned to know that the spirit world shouldn't be there. Listen, You don't have to go that far to see the traditional style of teachings, the way that you were taught by religion. I mean, luckily for me, whilst I was in a religious school, it wasn't really religious in that respect. It was a case of you just went there because it was a religious school. You might have had to do a few prayers, a few things, but I never believed in any of it, and I still to this day I don't. It's a man-made ideology. God and energy hasn't been touched by the fingers of man. How can you read from scriptures from energy when it's been doctorated by the fingers of man, the ideologies, the watered down notions and dilutions of mankind? You can't have something that is raw and organic from mankind. Unfortunately, that's not the way that it works. Because mankind have what we call egos. Those egos become prevalent when people get into power. They get that little bit of a taste. Very similar to myself with mediumship and working with spirit. When I get that bug, that's it. If any of you haven't seen any of me in paranormal videos, go and check out the latest episode of Soul Seekers. You'll see I am like a child when it comes to the spirit world. Like literally, I love working with them. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I want to do everything, and that's the same when people get into power. And they get given titles, and they get to put things into manuscripts and all of these different things, and they want to put more, and they want to get more for themselves. However, I'm not there to get more for myself. I'm the polar opposite in that respect. I'm there to bring forward evidence for each and every one of you and to work alongside of the spirit world. So it's a selfless act for me, but in other respects, for other individuals, the notion of ego becomes prevalent. So that was my first encounter with the spirit world, and I can openly say it was terrifying. Whilst not terrifying in the way that a lot of you would imagine, as in somebody coming at you with a weapon or somebody like literally jumping out and terrifying you, not like that. It was terrifying in the sense that my brain didn't know how to interpret this, because we go through life seeing vibrations. That's how we see vibrations. And when we are talking about the spirit world and we are communicating with the spirit world or using clairvoyance to see the spirit world, they are just effectively breaking through into the energy realm, and they are just simply showing you the vibrations. You are seeing the signals of them. They don't need to form within the materialistic plane. They can just show you where they are. However, remember, this is always evidence. Now, for a lot of you, you might wonder, well, Jordan, you've just said there that it was quite terrifying. However, remember, there's two spectrums of terrifying. There's terrifying where you are absolutely petrified with fear. That's that side. This was terrifying because my brain couldn't understand it. Again, coming back to the mechanism that's kept each and every one of you alive to this point. To be able to watch this amazing video. I'm only joking. It's not, well, you make the judgment call on that. Fight or flight. It's in each and every one of you. It's instinctively there to keep you alive as a species. So that's why it was terrifying. It wasn't terrifying because I was in danger. In danger. It wasn't terrifying because I thought harm was going to come to me. It wasn't terrifying because I was being... None of this what is coming to your mind. I was terrified very, very simply because fight or flight had kicked in. I had been conditioned to know I shouldn't be seeing what was bloody in front of me. So that was my first experience. As you can probably imagine, it was pretty... It's one of those where it stays with me. And I'll tell you the reason why it stays with me, not in a bad sense, but in a memory sense. It stays with me because it's a really fond memory with the spirit world. I mean, looking back, right, if I hadn't have had that experience in being shown spirit the way that I had been shown spirit, the rest of my life would have been an absolute train wreck. Like, seriously, because I've seen spirit all my life. I would have been terrified. I would have been like, what? But because I seen spirit from the age of 6, it gave me the abilities to not only know that, yes, they are there, it gave me the ability to see that there is no harm to come from them. However, on the contrary to what a lot of you may believe, a lot of you may have been educated by mankind and believe that we have evil spirits. We have energies that want to just come and take your soul. Is that what you're thinking? Completely wrong. And I'm going to tell you this is the reason why that theory, that notion, does not serve any one of you watching this video, because you've been led to me for this reason. What is it that makes a human being evil? What is it? Ask yourself the question. And there's going to be a lot of you who've watched this channel before, so unfortunately for you, you are getting this as well. What is it that makes a human being evil? It's the brain. The brain gives you the right to free will. As you go along your divine spiritual path, you will make decisions, whether them be good decisions, bad decisions, evil decisions, la 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 la. You know how I'm going with this. When you die, you might not know this, but there is an energy part to each and every human being on this planet. It's called the soul. The soul resides within the stomach area of all human beings. All human beings. It's effectively a note taker as you traverse through the journey of life, and as you make decisions, it will document them down. So when you return back to energy, we can see, well, actually, hang on a minute, did you make good decisions there? Did you make bad decisions? Because that's why you're all here. You are all here on this playground to learn. It's that simple. None of you've chose your path. None of our paths are chosen by us. The spirit world and the energy realms know exactly what are coming your way. Will they tell you? Definitely not. And why won't it tell you? Very, very simple. It doesn't aid you. It doesn't serve you to know what you have coming. And whilst a lot of you go, well, of course it does, Jordan, of course it does. Live your bloody life, right? Stop looking for cheat codes. If you spend as much time living your life in trying to manifest a brighter future, instead of looking for cheat codes and easy ways to get around different scenarios, then that is the reason why the spirit world won't give you that information. The spirit world don't want to make it easy for any one of you, because that would be holding you back. That would be suppressing you. That would be effectively giving you the cheat codes so you wouldn't be able to learn. What would be the point in being here in the first place? And I know that's going to be controversial. I know there's going to be a lot of you going, well, actually, I don't mind the cheat codes. I don't mind the lottery numbers, Jordan. Yeah. You don't get what you want in this life. The spirit world will tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. In coming back to that, there's gonna be a lot of you. There's gonna be a lot of you who are wondering why I said that in the way I did. Because the spirit world will tell you what you need to know, not what you want. And I know I've said that twice, and I know I've repeated myself, but please let that sink in, because that's very important to your development. Coming back to the evil spirits, the energy part of us returns back to spirit. Yeah, keeping up, goes back to spirit. Doesn't stay in this planet, doesn't stay in the materialistic. It's got no home. When the materialistic part of you dies and the heartbeat ceases to exist, and the energy part of you went back to spirit, ask yourself where the brain goes. Where does the brain go? Does it go back to energy? Well, no, it can't go back to energy, because the materialistic part of you is destroyed on planet Earth. It's either burned, it's either buried, there's many different ways, I believe. But a long story short, it doesn't go back to energy. It does not have a place in energy. Therefore, all the ugly humanistic traits, the jealousy, the anger, the greed, you could be the most evil person in this life. Evil person in this life. And when you leave the materialistic plane and return back to energy, you don't come back here the same person that you were. How could you? The parts that made you evil were the brain. You don't no longer possess that. You don't have the abilities to have the brain. There's a lot of people who really get wrapped up in mankind's notions and theories when it comes to evil spirits. I think it's important we mention this now, actually, because you have probably clicked on this because you have had experiences, or you think, and you have been told that you need to get an exorcism, or you've been told that you've got demons living in your house. Listen, I work with the realms. I work with them personally, with the spirit world also. The realms are what each and every one of you refer to as demons. However, the differences between me and you, I don't call them by mankind's terminologies. And the reason being is I have a good understanding. The name demon is there to incite fear into the populace, to give each and every one of you terror by that very word alone. What you don't realize, and what you fail to understand, is mankind are very good at suppressing each and every one of you. Why is it that each and every one of you can't learn mediumship in the way that you want to? Well, first of all, it's because of mankind's dilutions. It's because they aren't there to serve you. They don't want you to be the best version of yourself. Yes, some of them might tell you they do, but then in the next hand, they'll ask you for money. And I have some money. That's not me asking, by the way. It's an example. Or you'll have individuals who will tell you you've got to sign up to their course, or you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do this. The problem is that's not helping you. When we are working with the realms and we are working with the spirit world, we can gain so much information. The things that I've seen, I'm actually going to try and cover both aspects of spirit and the realms in this video. So, I would like to think that you've found this video and you aren't scared of the energies that I work with, because at the end of the day, why would you be watching my videos? It's one of those things. You've got to remember you should never protect from the spirit world or the realms. You have to protect from poor understandings in bad teachings. And this earth plane is absolutely saturated with them. So just be very careful whereabouts it is that you're looking for the information. But there are so many people who will say, for example, Jim from down the street. Jim was a horrible person in this life. When people went past his house, he would throw rocks at them. I'm probably getting this wrong way. Maybe it should have been the opposite way around. I don't know. Anyway, we're going with this. We're rolling with it. Spirit, like, just keep going, keep going. So Jim was an evil person in this life, and he had done some unspeakable things. Unspeakable. And he left a wake of tyranny in his passing. So each and every person now fear him, because one of the things that Jim said was he is going to come back and terrorize each and every one of you. What you all fail to understand there, and I'm going to prove it in a second, what you all fail to understand is the ego part of Jim is dead. It's gone. He cannot come back and terrify you. He cannot come back and scare you. The parts that made him want to scare you and to be horrible in all of this was conditioned within the brain through environmental factors and through the conditioning of his mind, through influences, whether that be good, bad, emotion, turbulence, many different aspects, not within his soul, within the body. The body's now dead. It's not coming back. There is no such thing as bringing back the dead. You are not bringing nobody back. So don't worry about that. To each and every one of you who are believing in evil spirits and all of these different things, please don't worry about it. Now, the next part of the story is going to take, well, bloody hell, how far are we into it? We're in 26 minutes already. We're only up to a children, 8-year-old. So the next time, this is where I had another experience. And we went on a family day out. This day out led me to a castle. I believe it might have been Bambra, or it might have been, I can't remember, Walkwith Spirit or Shouting, so it was Walkwith Castle. So we went to Walkwith Castle, and I don't know about any of you, right, but bear in mind I'm 8-year-old at the time that we're speaking about now. And I had never really, whilst I had that one experience with the spirit world, you've got to understand the spirit world knew I was going to get a fright at that point in terms of the way that I did. They knew I'd cope with it. They knew that for the rest of my life, I was going to be working with them. So they needed to come and approach me to say, look, listen, don't freak out when you say we're, but so they knew it was the right time. But I didn't see spirit from that point on. I think I had suppressed it in the back of my mind. I had suppressed it. There was no need for me to see spirit up until the age of 8-year-old. So at the age of 8, I remember walking up to the castle walls. And for those of you who don't know, castles in the United Kingdom, we do have them around the world. So hopefully I'm not talking to you like you're silly, or I hope you don't think I am. But castles are fortified structures. They're from a time much different to the life that we are living. Like literally, swords, shields, brute strength, murders on a daily basis. Like literally, it's just when you think about the misery, the turmoil, the hustle and bustle. Like, it's one of those things. Maybe as if I was around in them days, it wouldn't have been as bad because it's all you know. But for me looking there, I mean, put me in front of a video on YouTube any day of the week. Don't put us in as an archer on a tower or something like that. You know what I mean? Let's play it to our strengths here. I'd be no good riding horses with a sword and a shield. Spirit like that when they're laughing. Sorry, they're laughing. I'm thinking out. So I walked up the castle again. Coming back to the castle, the main part of the story I'm trying to portray. The castle has fortified walls. These walls are magnificent in size, the structure. Looking at them, you'll feel like an ant. You know, you're dwarfed by the mystique of them. And I always remember walking through what felt like, the only way to describe it to each and every one of you is like walking through a wall of spider webs. Now, I don't know if any of you have walked through spider webs, and to be honest with you, to me, it would freak us the hell out because I hate spiders. I am terrified. Put us in a haunted location with demons, you call them, and spirits. I love it. I thrive off it. Put us in a building with one tiny little spider. I will freak the hell out. So the only way to describe walking into energy is it's like walking into a spider web. And the reason why you feel this is your extrasensory perceptions are already searching. Each and every one of yours, while you're watching this video, your extrasensory perceptions are working. They are the feeling thing, even though you're suppressing them at this moment in time. It's through the understanding that you learn to not suppress them. So your extrasensory perceptions are going to be picking up on information. Now, when I went into this location, I always remember walking through the energy and then looking to the very top wall. It was as if something summoned me eyes, summoned me gaze. There was no ifs or buts about it. It was like straight away. And by the way, no, I wasn't possessed. No spirit didn't take over my body. I looked immediately, instinctively, known that there was something there. And I remember looking to the tower and walking along the walkway where soldiers would have once patrolled. I seen like this black cloaked mass. This wasn't anything small. Believe me when I say this. In reality, the height of the being would have been about 7 foot. So it was very, very tall. Very, very tall. And that's from the distance I was at. So it could have even been taller than that, to be fair, at the time of seeing it. So naturally, each and every one of you put yourself in that position. Now, what would you do in that scenario? Well, I'll tell you exactly what I've done, because I've never had no fear towards the spirit world in that respect. I'm quite, I've always been drawn to it. I ran at the speed that my little legs could carry me, as fast as I could go to get to the top of that staircase. I remember pantering away and like literally getting to the top. And, I'd run away from my parents at that time, you know what I mean? Little Jordan getting thrown over the top of the thing by some energy. It's joking, it wouldn't do that. But I got to the top of the staircase anyway, and I remember just being greeted by this. It was amazing. Like, seriously, just this cloaked mass just stood there, just staring straight at us. And when I say staring straight at us, because by the time I had got there, whilst from a distance it looked really tall, which is really, really strange. I know you're probably struggling to understand this, because now you're naturally going to think that this energy is like really, really tall. It was tall, but it wasn't as tall as what I had imagined in the first instance. So whether that have been my clairvoyance trying to tune in on it and just picking up on it differently, like you would see on a hot day, spirit or seeing on a hot day, when you look at a road, you see like the like it's not steam, but you'll see like a warping effect. It's exactly what happened to me on that day, because my clairvoyance wasn't fully attuned. So then anyway, I got to the top of the staircase, and then I was just just looking at this energy. Obviously, it was taller than me, but it wasn't the 7 foot. It was probably more normal human size. And it was just staring at us, like seriously, just staring straight through us. And then it just nodded, as if to say, you see me. We're going to have some fun. And then the next minute, it just like literally shot from the top down, straight into the floor of the castle. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of you who are thinking, Jordan, have you ever been to a psychiatrist? Well, The problem is with that little bit of a notion of me being clinically insane, like the majority would have you believe, I can validate information from the afterlife. I can help each and every one of you do it. I pride myself on my ability to bring forward evidence from the afterlife. None of this generic little garbled stuff that you see on the, social medias, and you see it on Instagrams and all of these different TikToks. Listen, not interested. Clear, concise information delivered in every reading. Getting back on track. So that was the second time I had seen spirit. Now I'm going to have to try and jog my memory a little bit here, because I've seen spirit all of my life. I've literally seen spirit all of my life. But I would probably say the next time I actively started going looking for the spirit world. Because remember, we've had the first interaction, we've had the second interaction. So my intrigue has now been placed. The spirit world work on intrigue. That's like their kind of addiction. They will give you a little bit of intrigue, and then you want to feed off that. You want more, you want more. And before anyone says, well, actually, that's not that heavy, Jordan, that's not really that good. It's amazing. Like, seriously. Because what a lot of you probably don't realize is when you're working with the spirit world, you get given energy. And whilst there's a lot of you going, well, you've already got energy. Yeah, you have energy. The problem is when you're working in the mediumistic capacity, the spirit world will come through you. You will use their energy. So you have an abundance of energy. Like when you see me coming in front of these cameras, like I channel energy from the second I put it on. You've probably seen us at the beginning laughing off, because me and spirit were having a little bit of a laugh before we come on camera. And I will instantly start channeling energy. When I'm doing these videos, I could sit in front of the camera, right? And I could speak on behalf of spirit for hours and hours and hours without fail. The second I come off the camera, that's when I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit drained now. They're like, well, you're not getting no more energy because they can't keep giving you energy. It's not the way that it works. They will give you energy in the reading for you to be able to decode information coming through and to be able to work on their behalf. But you have to manage your own energy, is the point that I'm trying to make. I said I was going to try and keep it a little bit educational, so we're going to have a couple of little curveballs in here and there for you to keep you on your toes. The next encounter that I had with the spirit world, if I'm completely honest with you, is probably going to be taken me to the age of 16. And at that time, I've actually been to the place since, but we went to a location called the Nelson Lansing Air Museum, which is in Sunderland. And I always remember going there with no intent of even thinking about the spirit world. Like, seriously, though, it didn't even pop into my mind. Whilst I had the intrigue, I wasn't really going with the intent. We speak about intent all of the time on this channel, because your intent is key. Intent is how you are going to get the information. However, I went into this location, and whilst it was filled with, now I know, lots of different items through psychometry, we can use psychometry to feel for energy. I went into this location just going for a little bit of a laugh and a joke with family. And I always remember it was one of the very first flip phones. So I don't quote us on what it was. I think it was a free phone or something, and it was like a big brick, and you had to turn it. And it had a camera on. And something drew me attention to a chair in one of the rooms, and it was like an ejector seat. I'll never forget it to this day. Never forget it to this day. And I always remember pulling out my phone, taking a photo of this ejector seat, and there was a spirit just looking up at us, literally looking up at us, like like that sort of camaraderie look. And I remember looking at the photo, going, "What?" So I takes another look just to make sure. Yep, definitely a person there. Compared it next to the chair, there's no one there, there's a spirit there. And then I showed one of my friends, and I showed me family member, and they were like, "Where did you get that photo from? That person looks so real." And they bloody were real. And later, fast forward to about 6 months ago, I went back to the location, and that very same spirit, Sergeant Shaw, come through, give me lots of evidence, also give us a coin. And also on the coin, when I got the coin home, it was like rusted on one side of the coin, and the other side of the coin wasn't rusted. So God knows where you had got it from. When I got the coin home, I've actually got the evidence. I've got it all documented. his face was etched onto the coin. The coin had been in my possession. No one could have done it. And when I say etched into like the dirt, I couldn't even etch anything into it trying. So that shows the intelligence behind the spirit world, what they can actually do within the materialistic plane. A lot of spirit just come through. I've just felt them touching my neck there. A lot of people don't realize the intelligence behind the spirit world and what they can actually manifest and make things happen. Well, we say manifest because that's our intent. That's what we want when we manifest something. But the spirit world can also include things into the materialistic, whether they're more to aid you, whether to give you a little bit of a kick up the backside. They can do things. They can schedule things. They can make meets happen. They can make your interactions take place. They are very, very wise when it comes to that. So when I captured the photograph, obviously that was pretty cool. Which brings me up to a very valid point for each and every one of you. A lot of you might have actually tried capturing the spirit before, or you might have been taking a photograph and you might have captured what we refer to as orbs. Now, when I say orbs, I say it very, very loosely. Because you have orbs, and I'll tell you what the orb is. The orb, you can think of the orb as being the soul. The soul has a personal identity in the spirit world, which is why it comes back down and it'll go through. But its identification is effectively going to be in the form of a circle. When it exits the energy into the materialistic, it takes the form of a circle. Energy needs a mode of transportation, very similar to how you need transport to get to wherever you need to be going in a car. It's that sort of transient movement. It's got to have a form, a structure to it when it comes from energy in the materialistic plane. Similar to spirit, or saying similar to when you have aircrafts coming from outer space into the ozone layer and down towards planet Earth, you will have the reaction taking place where you'll see fire as it enters Earth's atmosphere. This is the same for the spirit world. When the spirit world come from the energy realm and burst into the materialistic plane, this is what you will see. You will see a visual representation of an orb. An orb will act intelligently, ladies and gentlemen. There is no stupidity to them. A lot of people, and I get why a lot of people, I might sound a little bit cold here, right? But I do get why people want everything to be paranormal, because you want to feel that connection. And then you've got somebody like me sitting here saying, oh, it just happens naturally for me. It's like, and you're like, well, you want to be that person. Remember, I've been around this from the age of 6-year-old. Like, seriously. So to me, this is something I've been doing from the age of 6-year-old. So that's why I get the evidence I get. You can't force this. The spirit world will work with you when they want to, and if they feel it's going to be relevant to you in that part of your journey. But yeah, coming back to the phones is the point that I'm trying to raise here in with orbs. If any one of you want to see an orb, or you want to see a phone, not want to see a phone, you want to see an orb, or you want to see a spirit, my recommendations to each and every one of you would be to get your phone. All phones, I mean, look at the phone that I used, right? This phone was like literally, it was pixelated to hell, this phone. But somehow, whilst the phone was really bad at taking pictures, the bloody spirit's face, body and everything was like in 4K. For those of you who don't know, that is very, 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 very good. No explanation for it. It was as if a photograph had just been inputted into my phone, which is amazing. But for each and every one of you, just to know that even if you've got a really, really old phone, you can still do this. Go into a dark room. All you're going to do is you're going to simply ask the spirit world to come forward. Start taking photos. You want to take them photographs with flash on in successions of 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You want to take them in bursts. Then what you're going to do is you don't just take one photograph in the hope for the best, because the problem is again, whilst you may think that that's great because you've captured that, we need to disprove it before we prove it. We've got to. That's what a lot of people get so wrong when it comes into mediumship. It comes into paranormal, gaining paranormal evidence. Everything's paranormal. Everything's spirit. No. That knock wasn't spirit, because it wasn't, you didn't request it. If it's intelligent and it's in direct response to what, for example, you look at the latest episode of Soul Seekers, The second I went into the location, I went into a specific part of the building. I asked if a spirit could make a noise, and straight away you hear bang bang. That is intelligent. That is clear, especially when I'm the only one in that building at that point. A lot of you would find that a bit freaky. I love it. That's what I thrive for. So we're going to take the photographs. And remember, if any of you do capture some apparitions, you might capture apparitions, you might capture little orbs, little white balls. Don't forget though, a lot of people, when you've got to disprove it before you prove it. Sometimes you will have dust particles, especially with phones. Phones are a nightmare for it because dust particles will get picked up by the phone. In most camera equipment, to be fair, it's only when you go to the very, very high-end infrared spectrum, like the camera that we've just bought. You'll see the camera that I've just bought for the paranormal investigations. It doesn't pick up any. That's the reason why I got that specific camera. It doesn't pick up any. It doesn't pick up any dirt. You do see orbs, but it's spirit. You can see the intelligence behind them. It's fascinating when you do capture them. If you do, give it a try. Let me know down in the comment section if you capture anything, or if you want to send us something to have a look at, and I'll tell you if it's spirit, if it's not. For me, spirit just tell us straight away. I don't really need to even look into something too much. Spirit just say yes, it's us, or no, it's dust, Jordan. Just tell them it's dust. So it's quite simple. I don't really mind helping you out on that one. The next, I would say the next. This is actually, I just remembering it. It's taken us back so much, and this was mental. This, like seriously mental. I was about the age of, I would say maybe it's 18, 19. And I was working in security. I've always worked in security all my life. And I was working at this building. In this building, for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to pull out my phone, and I still remember to this day my exact words. Are there any spirits that would like to communicate? You still hear us saying it. It's me little thing. I say it all the time. Well, lo and behold, there were bloody spirits that wanted to communicate with me. Seriously. So, bear in mind, I was on my own in this building that was used as a tuberculosis hospital. It had been saturated in misery. So that's kind of why I felt that I would do it. It kind of gives us that little bit of a notion. Why do I want to remember back then? I didn't have the understandings I have now. The polar opposite. It's took time of me, dedication. Whilst I've always been with spirit, whilst I've always worked with spirit, I haven't worked with them in the capacity that I'm in now. I think that's important known. When I was young, I probably followed the same sort of ideologies as most of mankind because my teachings come from, other people. It was only at a certain point of my journey where Spirit went, right, this is what we're going to do. I still remember when Spirit said to me, you're going to be a medium. And I was like, no. What even is that? Then I heard, my name's Asgard. I'm here to help you. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I work with 4 archangels. Archangel Raphael, Archangel Metatron, Archangel Michael, and, well, you've just heard of Asgard. Asgard is straight to the point. No beating around the bush there, people. And it's always one of those things where when Asgard comes through, effectively the way I see it is this person's now getting told off. That's the way I see it. This person in front of me is at the final stages. The spirit world can't get them any more information. They need to listen and take action. When Asgard comes through in a reading, it is like traumatic in a sense for me because I'm always on edge. I'm like literally channeling. I'm like, oh, what's he going to say next? And I'll see myself speaking. It's weird the way that your channel is I effectively take a back seat and spirit will just automatically come through me. And when he starts speaking, I'm like, this person's about to be told off. Yeah, oh, they're going to hate me. They never hate us because it's always right. They needed to hear it in those moments. There was not going to be another opportunity. Raphael is very, it's like kind of a fluffy duffy. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's everything that you would expect it to be, and even more in that respect. I lacked the feminine energy. And obviously, sometimes what you've got to remember is when you are delivering readings and you are delivering information, you've got to be a bit like a chameleon. And when I say that, don't take that the wrong way. Don't think I mean say one thing and mean something else. No, no, no. What I'm saying is you need to be able to adapt to the situation. You have to be able to adapt to the narrative of the reading. Remember, you don't go into a reading with any preconceived notions of what's about to take place. You, as a person, have to be able to emotionally and physically adapt to suit the individual in receipt of that reading. So if the person in front of you is a big roughy tufty person and they're about to be told off, you need to be ready to change your tone to kind of help them to see what they need to be. You get what I'm saying? You need to be able to adapt like a chameleon. A chameleon will just change its colour when it goes into different scenarios. I think it's a chameleon. Spirit will laugh, and I hope it is. But again, this is what a medium has to do. A medium has to go in and hand over the spirit world and effectively mimic what the spirit world want you to see, and also be able to deal with the person in front of you. As an empathic person, you have to be there. It is your duty, your personal responsibility to ensure that the individual who is in receipt of this information is not just going to be able to digest it in manageable chunks. They are going to be able to action it and put it into effect in their world. Otherwise, what's the point of the reading? Clarity, direction, and purpose is all any one of you need to know and remember when it comes to mediumship. If you've got them 3 points, that is a reading. Missing one of those points, that's not a reading, and get the hell out of there, because you are being scammed, my friends. Yeah, so getting back onto the story, I tell you it was going to be a fun one, and I was going to be jumping around a bit. Back to the tuberculosis location. I was working, and I said I had done electronic voice phenomenon, what it's called, where basically we'll use a mobile device. It was actually my mobile phone. I think it was, I don't know what phone it was, to be honest with you, so I don't want to say it because it's probably going to be the wrong phone for the wrong era. But it was a mobile phone, and it had a very, very basic recording function. And I sat there, pressed it, recorded, so any spirit satellite to come through, and all you heard was, and there was nothing else in that building at all. Nothing else in that building. There was certainly no whips, right? And this was a full-on whip. So I was like, whoa, that's like kind of awesome. Like, I was like, no, that's got to be a fluke. That's got to be a fluke. Done another one. I heard a musket shot. Musket shot. Like, seriously, not even from this lifetime that I've lived, even from that age. You're talking, what, maybe it's 200 years back or something. I mean, I don't know, realistically. Don't quote us on that, YouTube. I'm not giving any historical facts. But a musket's, like, literally, that's what you heard. So that's when my intrigue was like, whoa, this is awesome. I was like, what's your name? And I was getting information coming through, telling us the name, telling us loads of other information. And it just so happened, looking back through my entire life working alongside the spirit, I've always freaked people out. And when I say that, I say that not with malice, not with nasty intentions, but people have always been around me and had paranormal experiences, or at least seen paranormal experiences when I've wanted them to. Kind of like a calling from the spirit world to say, look, Jordan, we're going to do this for you because you need to see we're doing this for you. Because this is the way, this is the triangle. We're going to give you, you're going to give us. We're going to use other people to kind of manifest things for you, to give you that evidence that you need to show mankind. It's kind of always been the same. The motto's always really been the same. And I always remember the security guard had come into the building. And he was, to say skeptical was an understatement. And I believe through my journey, my entire journey on this earth plane, I've been put in many situations And I've always been put, or whenever I've been put with somebody who's skeptical, I've always made them a believer. Simples. Whether that be showing them something, letting them experience something. That's just who I am. That's just what I do. I do that without even thinking for spirit. So that's naturally why I took the role that I have, working with spirit as a spokesperson and the realms. Now, coming back to this guy coming into the building, absolutely awesome. Because I hadn't told him what I had been capturing. But he come in and he was kind of on the fence with the idea and notion of there being spirits, but he was intrigued. So I says, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we do an EVP session? And he was like, what's an EVP session? I says, electronic voice phenomenon session. So what we can do is we're going to listen to the spirit world. Put it this way, you'll never do anything I've asked or mentioned again. So he was stood with his, pulled out my phone, pressed record. And I says, is there any spirits that would like to come and communicate with us? Straight away, they said his name, Peter. So he looked at me, like when we were playing it back, he looked at me and his face just went grey. And he was like, did you say that? Did you say that? I was like, mate, I was stood in front of you recording. Like, how could I have said it? He was like, but it sounds like a lady. It sounds like, how did you do that? I says, I didn't do it. Anyway, the next minute, I says, can you make a noise where you would like with a go? And I am not joking you. The roof of the building was corrugated steel. I think that's what it's called. But it was like literally, it's what you'd normally find in normal factories. The entire roof started pounding in one place. So when it done that, bear in mind, there's no wind, there's no rain, there's no nothing. So maybe me. I says, come with me. This is where we want to go. He's like, I'm not going there. I says, come with me. You'll be all right. So it stopped. The banging stopped. But I knew where it had been going. And I took her to the first aid room, funny enough. I says, come in the first aid room. We'll do another IVP. And he was like stood and he was pasty grey. He was like terrified at the door. And I always remember, I says, is this where you'd want it to be? And in the room itself, the walls started banging. And I was just like, yes! And he was like, literally, you couldn't see him for the smoke on his shoes. It was like, whoom. I was just like, yes, this is what I love. This is amazing. Thank you for giving me this evidence. Where the majority of people would be like, well, yeah, not for me, thank you. So that was an insight into the next time is, and as you can see throughout the journey from child to that point, whilst I haven't had millions or even thousands or even hundreds of experiences with spirit, the experiences that I've had have been tailored to me to suit. They've been prominent experiences. To this day, I still remember them. So not in a scary way, but I remember them because it's good for me to be able to tell people about them, because there might be a lot of you who've had similar experiences and you've just wrote them off. Well, fair enough, there might not be a lot of you who are silly enough to get your phone out and start recording, but that was me, again, coming into it with no understanding. It was just literally, it was something I was intrigued by. The next thing we're going to come to is, I would say from the age of 16 up to the age of 18, there wasn't much apart, obviously we've mentioned that. But then that's when it stopped. That's when it started to go mental. It stopped not being active is the point I'm trying to make there. From the age of, I would say from the age of 21, it went crazy. To the point where I would just be walking along. I mean, me partner at the time, I kept this, part of me, who I am as a person, I had suppressed. I didn't want to tell anyone what I could do. I didn't want to tell anyone what I could see. So part of me was always suppressed, and that's something that I would never, ever allow to happen again, or for anyone else to have to go through. Because, here you have people who you are very close to, people who you want to be able to confide in, but you can't tell them what you are seeing. You can't tell them what you know. You can't tell them all of these different things. And it can become quite frustrating and quite lonely, is the point I was trying to make there. Very lonely indeed, because you feel like an outcast. You feel like there's something wrong with you. Irrespective to the fact that you can bring forward evidence, it scares people. People that who, the people, for example, there's people that I know when I tell them the stuff that I do in the energies that I play with, they're like, you're mad. Like, seriously, why do you do that? But then there's a part of us that thinks, I feel so sorry for you. Why is it that you believe through your humanistic conditioning that you should just suppress everything about you as a person, suppress the energies? Because it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? When you're going to have people who look at the stuff that I do, or potentially what you're going to be doing in the future, and they are going to be absolutely horrified at every aspect of you as a person and what you do. And that's because of the ignorance. They don't want to learn anything about it. So that's why I felt, when the time was right, that's it. It's either going in a little bit and kind of doing what everyone else does in terms of just telling you little bits, or just that's it. Gloves are off, going to sort down. We're going to go straight for it. We are going to help each and every, whether we look crazy or not, whether people look at me in a different light or not, I could not care less. Okay, the spirit world have given me the conditioning that I needed for this part of my journey. That's it. We're ready. We're rocking and rolling. We're already on public platforms. We're already speaking about the energies. We are already proven with evidence of the energies that we work with. And the next time I seen spirit, whilst I had seen them, like literally, to be fair, it would be too hard for us to account every occasion from that point on. It was literally just inundated with images, with seeing spirit. I would just be walking around in the town centres and spirit would just be coming up and, just giving us a little bit of a nod and then disappearing. And it's like, what the bloody hell is going on? Yeah. And then when do you think the next time is that's going to be memorable? Yeah. So we'll tell everyone about that. So the next yeah, I think we'll leave it with this one. Actually, we'll probably leave this section with this one. So the next time that I seen spirit would have probably been, again, we've seen spirit all the time. I mean, the next prominent memory that comes in. Again, I've seen that many spirits. I don't care to remember how many I've seen. But there's a bloody lot. A bloody lot. And it's not the imagination before anyone thinks. It's not the imagination. The human brain doesn't have the capacity or ability to be able to make up faces. Scientists have proven that. So therefore, each and every one of you, when you go into a dream and you believe that you are seeing people's faces who you've never met before, that's not because your brain's trying to understand people that you've seen walking past you on the street. It's because you are walking with spirit, my friends. You are in the spirit realm. You are having interactions and you are having, it's awesome. That visitations are absolutely awesome, because a lot of you, I can guarantee 90% of you on this platform would have had visitations from spirit. Guaranteed, 100%. I would say a dream of spirit is a dream that you'll never forget. There's always a message for it. There's always a meaning for it. There's always something that you are going to take away from it. This is the point I'm trying to make. A lot of the times as well, when we're going to dreams of spirit, you become the third person. Not a third person as in you get split into 3 different sections, but you effectively detach from your own emotions, your own viewpoints, your own everything, and you see things in a different light. For example, you may have a situation that's been really bothering you for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you don't know how to deal with that situation. What the spirit world will do in a dream through a visitation, they will simply play out that scenario for you, and they will show you different ways of dealing with it. For example, myself, I've got published books. I'm not going to mention them because, again, it was like, it's not what this channel's for. But with the help of spirit, I published my very first book. Well, actually, I've got 2. I never once had an English education. I mean, I left school and I was a little bit of a toe rag, if I'm honest with you. So I did make a few mistakes when I was at school, and I didn't really do very good at English. That being said, not doing good at English, I managed to become an author due to Spirit. Spirit, my words to Spirit were, "Yous will help me write," you know, and we'll work together. Even more. I mean, I was already working with them, but it was kind of like a little bit of a "you help me, you scratch my back" in the did. I would write stories that I didn't even know the words to. I didn't even know what the spelling was. I didn't know what the word meant. However, it was the right word for the context of that part of the story I was writing. I am going to be writing books with Spirit, believe it or not. We are going to have lots of different teachings. We're going to have universal teachings. We are going to be obliterating all of these mankind's notions. That's what we're doing. We aren't playing games here. And I know there's probably a lot of you who found this channel and you probably think we're crazy when we say that, but you watch this space. You know, we don't have time to mess around. We don't come on here and spend hours and hours and hours to put out content just because we think this is a game. This is serious to us. This is us being able to allow you to be the best version of yourself is paramount to the message of help you'll serve. That's what it was brought to this planet for, and that's why each and every one of you from the teachings on this platform will gain the understandings that you so need and desire on this earth plane as you walk along your divine spiritual path. Each and every one of you can contact your loved ones in spirit. Each and every one of you will be able to contact your loved ones in spirit. But we need to get rid of these notions that don't serve you. Alright, calm down. This was meant to be my video. Bloody hell. See what I mean about channeling. So yes, we mentioned earlier on about the next experience, and this is going to freak a lot of you out. I'm going to be honest, this experience is going to freak a lot of you out. Not for the wrong reasons, or should I say not for the right reasons. I don't know what way to put it, to be fair, because it depends on the person who's watching. But don't be alarmed by what I'm about to tell you. A bit of a disclaimer. If you're scared of spirit or if you've got any sort of things, then probably don't listen to this part of the video. Maybe skip 10 minutes and I'll probably be finished. Watch, you'll click back on it and it'll be the scary part. So yeah, this is going to be what a lot of you were effectively... I went out on a drink. Now, when I say I went out on a drink, I was very compass mentis. And believe me when I say this, alcohol to me makes no difference. Like, seriously, spirit are there anyway. A lot of people may think, well, actually, if you're under the influence of alcohol, then you may think that you're seeing things. No, it doesn't work like that. The spirit will reveal himself to you if they want you to see them. Yes, your mind, you could make things up, but you can't make up clairvoyance. You can't physically make up seeing someone in front of you. It doesn't work like that. Maybe it's mentally in your mind. You could mentally make a scenario up, but you can't project someone stood in front of you when you're drunk. Listen, you don't have the brain power to do it in a normal scenario. Never mind when you're under the influence of alcohol. And when I say under the influence, I wasn't really drunk. I wasn't massively drunk, but I was going out to have a good night. And the location I had went to, there was two individuals there who had welcomed us over. And were having drinks. And anyway, one of them had went to bed. So that left me plus one with another lady. So because the lady's partner had went to bed, I was like, well, I don't really feel comfortable like sitting right next to you, and it's just nothing personal, but I think it's best if we just like completely sit at different sides of the chair, because if your girlfriend comes in, she's gonna think, what the hell's going on? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I can't be dealing with that sort of stuff. So we had done that anyway, and I remember I had said something about the energy in the room. I was like, there's somebody in this room. And I always remember saying, who? And at the time, I had said to us, well, are you interested in spirit? Like, and she must have thought Jordan's drunk. You know, you always get that one talk, I don't want you who's drunk, and they'll tell you that they've done this, they've done that, and they've done all of these different things. Well, I'm not really about that way of life. I am what I am. I do what I do. You know, and what you see is what you get. That's the way I've always been. And I was a bit took back by, because you could see that she must have thought I was like winding her up a bit. I says, "What do you want to see spirit? Because I've seen spirit all my life, and I can help you see one." And I don't know what took over us in those moments to say that I could help you see one, because that's quite egotistical way of thinking. It's like, I've got this power, and it's not the way that it was meant. And it certainly wasn't the way it was portrayed in that moment. It was very, very simple. The spirit world was speaking through me to say, we can help you see one. So she was like, "Oh, go on in." So I pulls out my phone, went on, I think it was Snapchat at the time. And I took a picture of the corridor where I said somebody was stood. Took a picture. There was only someone stood there. Oh my God. She freaked the hell out. "How did you do that? What app did you use? Like, how did you..." No. In all fairness, at the time, there was like many different apps that you could have probably done it. It was, I think it's at infant stage. So it was a reasonable question. Like, did I do it myself? And then I was like, "No, I told you there was somebody there." And I just seen that light switch moment where she went, "Mate, how did you know that there was someone? How did you capture that?" So I ended up talking. I says, she'd say, "Oh, she'd like to learn more about it and stuff like that." I says, "I can help you experience like spirit. I can help you to connect to spirit if you want." And it was kind of my way of giving her, giving her what she was asking for, in a way. And it was more so for my kind of for my. It's a part of it that was selfishly doing it for myself, if I'm honest, because I wanted to. Spirit was saying, "Look, we'll channel through her. Just go with it." And I was like, selfishly, like, "Well, let's do it. Let's see what happens." So we were watching the telly, and it must have got to about maybe 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I don't really know what time it was, to be honest. It doesn't really hold any relevance to the story. There's not a witch an hour. There's spirit can come 24/7 anytime they like. And I've proven that. I've got footage, many of locations during the day. It doesn't not nighttime like what people would suggest, where the veil becomes thinner from the materialistic whatever. So it come to about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I always remember we were like on this leather settee, and it was a massive corner settee, like literally it was massive. And all I remembered hearing was just a tap on the lever next to my shoulder. And I mean, just remembering it now, it was quite freaky, to be fair. And I remember hearing it again. It's so freaky. I love it. So I remember just turning. And wow. It was amazing. Like, seriously. She was looking at us, right? And when you picture somebody looking at you, like, think of me looking at you now, but take away everything in the eye area. It was black. The solidest black that you will ever imagine. It was absolutely intense. In those moments, my body went into fight and flight, but this time it was like, you are going to have to fight here, or you are going to die here. It was like literally that scary in those moments. And then she said, she started speaking in tongues, like seriously, like speaking in dialects and ways of speaking that I had no comprehension of. I was just like, what on earth is happening here? Then all of a sudden she went, "Thank you, Jordan. I'm going to leave now." And then straight away, my friend burst into tears. Didn't know what had happened. And I was just like looking like marveling, going, "Oh, this is amazing." And yeah, she was pretty freaked out. I don't think she's ever forgiven us. Well, in all fairness, I did ask, just like any one of you, if I ever ask you if you want to experience paranormal activity, don't think that I'm messing on. Put it this way, for my paranormal tours, each and every person who comes on has to sign a waiver. So don't think that I mess on. Like, literally, if I say to you, I can make paranormal activity happen, for you, or I can get spirit to channel through you in these moments, I'm not messing on. There is a list of people who will tell you that I'm not messing on. Coming back to her, obviously she had the experience. She was a little bit scared. She was not scared because spirit had harmed her. She was scared that in those moments, her entire world, her reality that she had been brought up to know, one night out with Jordan, and it had been absolutely blown into smithereens, shattered into 1,000 pieces. And obviously alcohol doesn't help with that, does it? You know what I mean? Yeah, so that was an awesome one. Also, I think what we'll do is we'll mix in a little bit of the realms. So let's talk a little bit about the realms. The realms are very different to the spirit world, as you have probably already been told by this video. Working with the realms, I can feel them now. It's very, very heavy. Okay, so when they come into your body and they start working with you, it's very, very heavy compared to spirit. Now, you'll see me on every video where I'm working with the spirit world or the realms. I give them both the same love. Literally, I don't discriminate against any energy. I have a good understanding. But what you'll notice is, especially if you want to hear it firsthand, whenever I directly call upon the spirit world and realms, they will answer intelligently immediately on every occasion. There's a short on this channel where me and Caroline, evidential medium, Caroline Tyndall, very good friend of mine, very good evidential medium. Go and subscribe to her if you haven't already done so. She does have a YouTube channel. We are going to be doing a lot more stuff together, but it's just, especially in the paranormal aspect, just a little bit hard at the minute, but we've got plenty of videos coming to the channel. We've got plenty of things lined up. But me and Caroline sat down to do an Ouija board. For those of you who don't know, an Ouija board is very, very simple. It's a form of divination. It's for spirit and energy communication. Do not use one if you don't have an understanding. Just like don't get behind the wheel of a sports car if you don't have the qualifications or ability to drive that vehicle. It's not going to end well for you, is it? Realistically. Now, it's not going to end well for you, and I'll tell you the reason why. It's not because the spirit world or the realms are going to put you in danger. It's your mind is going to start playing tricks on you. Because you don't have an understanding, you have fear now, you have all of these different traits. The problem is that it's going to seep into you and take center stage. For example, you are going to start to believe that the realms and spirit world are closing doors. They are scaring you. They are doing things. And the reason why this is happening is because everything that's happening in you are writing it off as being them. You are scaring yourself. You are actively encouraging that fear in yourself. So please, don't use one if you haven't got an understanding. But you'll see from the video, I call upon the spirit world and realms. And instantly, the most luscious, I'm going to have to try and polish it off and get it a little bit better for you to actually hear it properly. But in the short, you'll hear, stay true to us. And it's the female voice. And honestly, it's the most angelic female voice you will ever hear in your lives. It's honestly, it's heart-wrenching. It's like if you think of a song now and you think of the most perfect song that you know and you love, and when you hear those words, it really means something to you on a deeper sense. This tone of voice instantly done that to me. And I can guarantee each and every one of you think of those words. You know, stay true to us. I work with the spirit world and the realms. They are giving me the confirmation, stay true to us. You know, do what you were doing. State the person that you are. And of course, I'm always going to do that. But those words were just confirmation that, look, like, you're doing all right, mate. Like, we're with you. Then you'll see on the latest paranormal investigation where I called upon the spirit world and the realms. And then lo and behold, you hear the realms growl. And why is it a growl? Because it's the entertaining part of it, isn't it? They don't need to growl, but they know when I'm working with them, I like that sort of thing. Just like if you're working with the realms and you like that sort of thing, then they'll do whatever you want. They want to be your friend. They want to work alongside of you. They want to help you to serve your greatest purpose. Your greatest purpose is becoming the best version of yourself. Energy can help you to do that. Each and every milestone, each and every step of the way. So yeah, I think what we'll talk about now is we'll give you a little bit of a glimpse into using divination tools, like of tarot. A lot of you might like tarot. Now, my views and opinions are very stern on tarot, if I'm honest, because there's a lot of people out there who do tarot, which isn't tarot. If you don't have clarity, direction, and purpose in a reading, then it's not tarot. But unfortunately, you see so many people who just saturated all social media platforms, any sense of reality. They do these readings that are just so generic that it could be done by AI better. Now, artificial intelligence, for those of you who don't know, that is what I'm referring to there. At what point does it come to where an artificial intelligence can do readings better than human beings? Artificial intelligence isn't empathic. It isn't there to assist you, guide you. Yes, well, it is there to assist you and guide you, but on an empathic level, it's not going to give the same as a human being. So why is there that there are people claiming to be tarot readers, claiming to be able to give readings and giving subpar readings, and they're happy with it? I'll tell you the reason why. Because that's the way society has allowed them to be. It's time for each and every one of you to understand that you have caused this problem also. We can't just blame the tarot readers. We can't just blame these people who are sloppy, who couldn't care less. Because the people who are paying for them, the people who are encouraging that, they are to blame also. We need to change the mindset. We need to ensure that each and every person understands that it is vital to get the clarity, direction, and the purpose in a reading. Because if every one of you come off this reading now and went for a tarot reading, and you didn't get one of those, and you didn't speak about it, and you didn't tell the person they're wrong, then you are part of that problem. And I know I'm pointing a lot, but I'm not pointing nastily. I get very animated sometimes and passionate about certain topics. Tarot is one of them, because tarot is an art. It's like the most majestical music that your little ears have ever listened to when it's done right. When it's done wrong, it's like having the wrong. What's the word I'm looking for? They're laughing at us. They're not telling us. The composer. They've just shouted composer. The wrong composer. If you have, for example, Beethoven, or you have anything that is beautiful, majestic, sounds lovely. That is when a tarot reader knows what they're doing, and they are bringing forward clarity, direction, and purpose. When you have a tarot reader who isn't doing any of the before mentioned, you have me being the composer. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. That music is going to sound absolutely atrocious. This is the difference. So you need to start speaking out about it. Now, I've done tarot readings. I've done thousands of tarot readings. Like, seriously, to be honest with you, I hate doing them. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. I want to give you the tools to be able to do it for yourself. I'm not interested in becoming part of the problem that mankind have on this planet, where we'll give you this little bit of a reading and then that little bit of information. The problem is what you have to understand is you are buying into the problem. What do I mean by that statement? The problem being that you are never, ever, ever going to be able to connect for yourself if you are constantly going to somebody else for information. That stops here. That stops at this channel. We don't allow that. If you aren't willing to work hard to get the information that you so need and desire, then don't waste my time, because I haven't got time to waste. If you are willing to put the hard work in, I can give you the tools. I can give you everything you need. I can make you a medium. I can make you a tarot reader. I can give you everything, every understanding that your little heart needs. But if you aren't willing to put that time in and effort in on for yourself, then that's where you're going to fall into a little bit of a problem. On this channel anyway. There's plenty of other channels that will happily take your money off you. And not even give you readings. But that's the day and age that we're living in. But anyway, let's get back to some of my tarot readings. I don't really talk about tarot readings, but there's some tarot readings that I do speak about. Now, this isn't through ego. This is through helping each and every one of you understand what tarot reading should be. I'm going to keep the individuals' names out of these readings, and after the reading, and I do keep in contact with them, I always ask them if it's all right to, share a little bit of their story for the audience so you can see what tarots are meant to be about. And they said, yeah. So first of all, tarot is life-changing. It is everything that you need to know, not what you want to know. I have predicted weddings. I've predicted deaths. I have predicted and foreseen, job changes, circumstantial changes. Tarot is amazing when it's done correctly. And each and every one of you will see very soon we're going to be doing a lot more tarot on the channel, because it's something that I haven't really been doing much of. And it's something I'm consciously wanting to get more of it on the channel, because tarot is something that I do enjoy doing in terms of the teaching. For myself, it's not the tarot reading, it's the teachings. It's the giving you the tools to do it for yourself. I could sit on this channel every day, all day long, and do tarot readings. And to be honest with you, this channel would grow a lot quicker, but it's not about the numbers. It's about me being able to break the mold. It's about me persevering and making sure and ensuring that my message continues to grow. It will continue to grow because we are changing the way that this works. We're giving you all the understandings. We're giving you everything that you need to know. So tarot readings, again, when I say I'm going to give you some stories there, I've kind of covered the stories just by giving you kind of insights into them. I don't really think it's beneficial to go fully into the readings because for word, because it's a little bit pointless, if I'm honest with you, because I could sit here and tell you, yeah, I think we're going to leave it at them scenarios. So if you are somebody who is looking into tarot and you're wanting to learn tarot, first of all, we're going to have more content. Also, some of the things that I've mentioned there are some of the things that you can actually do. You will predict deaths. You will predict weddings, funerals, anniversaries, job changes, career moves, emotional changes within the circumstances, partnerships breaking down, new friendships. The list goes on. The limitations are at the mind of the tarot reader. If you are very limited in how you connect, because there's very different ways of connecting. You can connect intuitively, which is what I educate each and every one of you to do. In the first instance, learn how to work intuitively. Once you know how to do that, you can then work with the spirit world or the realms, or you can work with both. It becomes a lot more fun, a lot more quick when you start working with the spirit world, because you find out very, very quick that you don't need the cards at all. The cards are a good visual aid. The cards are a good representation for the individual. But when you realize that you can just speak and the words are going to come out and you build that confidence with your teams, you don't need to waste time with cards. I mean, some people like cards. Some people like to use cards. The point I'm trying to make is you don't have to use them. The next thing that we're going to mention is crystal balls. So we've got Scarlet here. Scarlet's awesome. A lot of the experiences I've had with crystal balls is where you will see, I've seen like battles, I've seen war scenes, I've seen absolutely loads of mad things in crystal balls, to be honest with you. It's like I always remember the very, very first time I sat in front of a crystal ball, because along the way, along my journey, I'm very argumentative. I've got an answer for everything. I'm always very analytical in the way that I do things. And I need to be shown. I need to be shown, because seeing is believing. So the spirit world, have had their hands cut out for me, because every time they've said to do something, I've been like, resentment. Okay, why? When it comes to crystal balls, it's a completely different ball game. Seriously. And I would advise each and every one of you, if you've wanted to give it a try it. It's amazing. When you connect to the crystal ball, just like any other form of divination, once you connect to it on a personal level, that is when you are going to start seeing information. That's when you are going to start seeing imagery. You're going to start seeing symbols, names. You're going to see locations. You're going to see historical events. You're going to see future events. And it's not like the way that Hollywood makes it out, where you actually look in the ball and you see it in the ball. The majority of the time, it's when you are skimming the ball. You're going to skim the... Let's get Scarlet out for example. So when you skim the top of the ball there, this is how you are going to see the imagery, because what that does is it sends the signals to the third eye. Straight away we are then unlocking and we are seeing things. Now, the first story I've got to share with the crystal ball is I went into a meditation. I had the crystal ball in front of us. I went into a dark room, so there was no light pollution. I went into a quiet room, so there was no noise pollution. And I sat with a little bit of light behind us off my phone light. I'd pointed it like to the wall, so there was very, very little bits of light leaking out, just enough to partially light the room behind us. And I had this big crystal ball, which I've still got it in my cupboard. It's just haven't got enough room out here for it. And I says, I just spent about 120 quid on this crystal ball. I says, yous have 10 minutes to prove to me that this works. Otherwise, I won't be buying another item that you tell me to buy. And I kid you not, the second that I closed my eyes and I just relaxed after seeing it and I allowed spirit to take over into the connection to take place with the crystal ball, it was like literally mind blown. I was on a field full of poppies. And as I was walking through the poppies, like I was just like in a movie scene. That's the only way to describe it, being in a movie scene. And my hands were just brushing along the poppies. And then the next minute, I heard the roar of tanks. Couldn't say anything. It was a beautiful picturesque scene in front of us. Looked beautiful. And then tanks started rolling past us, like as if that's it, they're going to fight. And it was just like, I could feel the rumble. I could feel the churning in my stomach. It was like being in a movie. The next minute, as the tanks went past and they're tearing down these poppy fields and they're churning up the mud, and it went from being this picturesque scene to being this just not picturesque at all. It was just dull. It was just grim. And then the next minute you hear in like airplanes coming down over me and shooting into the distance, and it was mental. Like seriously, really, really cool. Like, to be honest with you, I wish you could experience it. But I mean, everyone's journeys are different, so you will probably not have the same experience as me. You might have better, you might not have it as exciting as that. It depends on what you need to see in those moments. So the next minute, I want to see something different. And straight away, I was in the trenches. Like seriously, there was people blowing whistles, getting ready. People were climbing up the trenches, getting ready to pop their head over to go. And I was just like, what the hell? I've never seen nothing like that, man. I've never watched movies like that. I've never seen any of these things. And it's not your imagination playing tricks on you, because you haven't seen this to imagine it. You haven't. There's not one part of me that would go, I want to go into a meditation and use a crystal ball and to see war. Why? Like literally, that's not a part of me. And then I asked Spirit, what is the point of that? What is the point? And I always remember the look of the soldier's face when they looked at me in the trench. It was like I was a time traveler going back in time. They looked as if to say, you're not meant to be here. Like literally the faces before they went over, they were like looking at us like that. And I was like, have I been like infiltrated? Like, what's the score there? In Spirit told us the reason why it was. They wanted to show me that, to show how evil mankind as a species and sick mankind as a species are. And that's why they need the help. That's why they need an understanding that is going to be able to serve them so that they can start to put this mess right. And that was my first interaction using a crystal ball. The next time I used a crystal ball I used Scarlet. And the person who actually done this for was still on the channel, I believe. So you probably, you mentioned it in the comment section. But I was sitting on the reception. And again, this is no disrespect to him watching, but this is the kind of the way that most people would approach a scenario. I was sitting on the desk and I was just cleaning Scarlet, just getting her all nice and cleaned. And he says, "Oh, are you one of them mystics, like?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. I think it was words to that effect anyway." He says, "Oh, I go on, give me a reading then." So I did. I just didn't even think about it. Crystal ball straight away. I can tell you that you're going to be in a new job in the next 3 months. You're going to have a white van and you're going to have some changes coming your way with a dog. I believe it was a new animal or a new change, a very difficult decision coming into your world. Then he laughed. And I says, "I'll hear from you in 3 months' time." And I remember him laughing. And I always remembered and thought, like, God, like, it's one of those, isn't it, where when you give somebody the information, well, you're connected or not, when somebody's laughing at you, like, oh, it's not a nice feeling, is it? It's like, oh, like, what? Why couldn't you have told us more information, like present information? Like, that would have been more helpful. Anyway, I completely forgets about this entire scenario. In fact, it's safe to say the majority of the readings I forgot because you don't retain the information. Fast forward 3 months. I think it was about 2.5 months to the date, or it was near enough the 3 month mark. I get a message on Facebook. It's me. How did you know? I was like, oh, it's who? He's like, sent us a picture on the back of his white van. And this is something that each and every one of you needs to realize. The stuff that I do and the stuff that I teach, it isn't there to be games. It's not there to play games. It's not there to dip your foot in and out. You can immerse yourself in it. You can get the results that you need. You can get that information, that clarity, that purpose, that direction in each and every one of your worlds that you so need in what you are sorting. But whilst I've mentioned crystal balls there, I think it's one of those things as well. We might as well mention pendulums. I don't know if I've got one at hand, because it's kind of went from a video of my experiences to now telling you experiences with divination. So I suppose it's all right, isn't it? Really, it's kind of a nice little. Pendulums can be used to give you yes and no information. And I always remember the first time I picked up a pendulum. For those of you who don't know, a pendulum, I haven't got one in my hand, but it's like it's a weighted item on the end of string. Have I not got one? It's spare. I've normally got them. It's hand. Oh. Sorry, everyone. You just got the like top profile of my head there. So this is what we refer to as a pendulum. Gets the pendulum name from the pendulum motion. It goes side to side. Now, these are ideal for each and every one of you if you want just clear yes and no answers. You don't want to mess around. I've seen loads of people given these options to say maybe. What the hell are you playing at? Stop that. Don't give this an option to say maybe. It works for you. Yes or no, that's all you're interested in. It really annoys us because I do see a lot of people giving this tool the ability to not do what it's meant to do. And it's like, it's mind blowing. But I always remember when Spirit World told me to get one of these, and I was like, oh, what is it? And before I even got one of these, before I even got a pendulum, each and every one of you are going to have a yes and no. So my yes and no on a pendulum is up and down like that. My no is going to be side to side. So representative of a yes and a no. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit hesitant to get one of these. Like pretty much everything in my collection. But the Spirit kept harping on about it. They kept saying, get one, get one, get one, get one. And because they knew that I wasn't really going to go and get one, they showed us one in my head. So I would play games. I would be like, am I going to work today? And I would see this pendulum just moving for a yes. So I knew that was yes. And then I'd be like, am I sitting in my car? And then I'd see it going the other way. So no. So straight away, I acknowledged that that's my yes and that's my no. Then I would ask questions that only I knew the answer to. And then it would kind of go. There's going to be a lot of people who might say, well, actually, yeah, you're just imagining that. Here is out. So because that happened, that sparked the intrigue properly into getting one, because I had seen straight away that I was using something in my head which I couldn't explain. It was mental. So I went to purchase one. The second I picked one of these up, honestly, it was almost as if I always remember it. I went to, like a car boot sale. We get markets and car boot sales in the United Kingdom. I don't know if you get them from where you're from, but we'll have them in the United Kingdom, and they're quite good for this sort of stuff. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them that are just tat. There's a lot of them also who don't have any notions that can serve you. They'll sell you the product as a salesman. They won't tell you how to use it to your greater good, if that makes sense. They'll tell you loads of mad stuff. But I remember going up to a pendulum and just picking it up, and instantly, the second I picked it up, it started spinning in my hands, right? Bit similar to how it's doing there now. So you can see it's spinning there, right? Now, Any of you who have pendulums, I would recommend you to do this. And you see, I don't hold it how any of you probably hold it. I could hold it there. I try not to even hold it with 2 fingers. I normally just let it dangle, or there's no special way to using a pendulum, anyone. And I do have a full video and tutorial on how to use pendulums on this channel, so we're not going to fully go into it. But I remember picking up a pendulum, and from the second I picked that pendulum up, it was like I was shot with a bolt of lightning down to the left side of my body. And to any of you who know medically, that's not a good sign, really, is it? Let's be completely honest. It's like, it's a heart attack, stroke. But it wasn't. It was instinctively, when I picked up the item, I felt the connection taking place. It was almost as if I was jolted with some sort of energy from spirit to say, you've done good. You know, it wasn't, but it was just, that's what it felt like. That's the only way to describe it. And it freaked us out a little bit, because I had to actually, like, I went all dizzy, and I had to stand, like, my stun had to hold us up. And there's nothing medically wrong with this. It wasn't a stroke. It was literally because I had eventually picked one of these up and connected with it after fighting it for so long. It was just like, it was meant to be. It's like, for so long, if you picture these 2 magnets, opposing forces, repelling against each other, and then I had finally took the decision to pick it up, and my intent was set, my focus, my intent in those moments was to use that item, and that magnet is now attracted. That's what it was like. It was like the energy attracting, just that's the only way to describe it. So yeah, we've went through quite a few things in this video. I hope I haven't bored you too much. I think I'm going to bring it to an end there now, because I've covered quite a bit. If there's anything that you're not sure about, or there's anything that is raised questions with you, then let us know in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer your questions. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, why don't you check out the videos that are pinned top to the left and right. And until the next time, bye-bye for now.